I am Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This is Ron Bohatti, our shop manager for the county. Several months ago, Lancaster County Engineering Department began researching a new radio system in order to meet new requirements for radio equipment. Many of you may not be aware that Lancaster County Engineer has its own radio tower that we share with the state of Nebraska. While conducting research, we discovered that a new system could have GPS capabilities which would allow us to track our fleet and our people who work in the field. The end cost of this system upgrade was approximately $62,000, with an additional $15,000 for computer software. Many studies have shown that GPS tracking reduces fuel costs, increases employee efficiency, and improves maintenance. The typical monthly cost for a system like this would have been several $1,000s. The typical monthly cost for our system for data is zero. We are going to use the radio waves to actually convey the GPS location of our equipment. In addition, we believe that this system will improve the safety for people in Lancaster County and for our employees. And I have Ron Bohatti to give a small demonstration of the system.
Good morning. Thank you, Pam. I'm Ron Bohatti, the shop supervisor for Lancaster County Engineering, and I've got a brief PowerPoint that we can go over that'll kind of explain how this system works for us. So first of all, some key points. We're with a Kenwood system. It's using Next Edge technology that conveys the data packets for the GPS to our mainframe computer so that we can get the data. So each one of these radios actually have a built-in GPS transponder in it, and it just hooks up to an antenna just like you would with any other GPS unit. The software we're using is called TrueFleet. It's by Talisman, and it takes those data packets and puts it on the map so that we can actually view it. This system does allow us to have an emergency notification function that's used on the radios so that if an event would happen, they can hit a button, we know exactly where they're at, and it'll open the mic so we can actually hear them if they happen to be in distress. This system also allows some two-way messaging capability. If they happen to be out of their vehicle, we can send them a message saying, please call the shop when you get back in your vehicle. It offers us some fleet reports that we can go through to try to see how our fleet is doing fuel economy wise and for checking on our fleet in bad weather like in snow. And this is a web-based system. This allows us to log on to it virtually anywhere with the right access, so it isn't something that has to be a city or county computer. We can access it at any point. If there is an emergency and we're down at the EOC, Pam can pull it up down there and see where everybody's at. So this is a brief picture of the units that we've replaced. It's a mobile unit that's in all the trucks and motor graders, dump trucks, and then the handhelds that most of the staff carry. This is what the software looks like. We are going to do a live demonstration of it here after I'm done with the PowerPoint. It's just the login page. It has several different maps that go with it, so we can change kind of on the fly between a base map and a satellite view. This is an example of the text messaging we can pull up at any of the terminals and send it to virtually any radio that's in the fleet. This is an example of the updates that come in. I just picked one unit, and it updates periodically so that we can maintain where that's at, and it keeps that on file in the database basically as much as hard drive space as we have. So there's an endless possibility for the amount of storage. This example shows how we can go back in time and pull up a particular unit and track where they have been. This is useful in cases where if someone has a question about the last time we may have maintained a road, or if someone has a question in winter about when we are going to get to their road, we can pull this up and see where they've been and when they might be there. This is an example of an emergency notification. So if somebody hits the emergency button on their radio, it will actually bring up a flashing screen, which is in the bottom right. Since this is a still picture, it's not flashing. And it has an audible alert that goes off in the shop so that we know that somebody is having an emergency. This is kind of something that just happened yesterday. we didn't know what our system would be able to do for us. We had a tractor that we had taken to Crete for some service, and all of a sudden I'm getting alerts on the system. The vehicle was loaded onto a trailer and transported to Seward, and it started giving me messages saying, hey, nobody's actually driving it because the key isn't on and it's moving 54 miles an hour. So a second part of the system we realized is that for asset control, it will keep track of our equipment even if it's not running. So if something would happen to get stolen, we'll know where it's at. Okay, and the live demonstration, we're just gonna pop over into this here, and this is what you see when you log in remotely. We've got quite a few units on there. Depending on who has access to the software within our group, each supervisor has a different number of people that they can see. So they're not seeing everything at once. So for example, the District 1 supervisor is only seeing his people within his area. But what we have here is the basic map with all the equipment on it. This will show all the updates, and you'll see it moves in real time. It just keeps coming in, and it updates each one of those positions as it does so. It also has a feature for a split screen so that you can see the updates of the data as the map's live. If someone keys up their mic and calls in, it also brings up their location immediately. Over here to the right, there are several different icons you can click on. You can update anybody's location at any time, send them a text message. We can go back in time and do replays on any unit for any period of time. And then we can also produce reports, again, that show us where a vehicle or a group of vehicles has been. It's located over here to the right is the different fleets, so everything's separated by pickups or graders, small dump trucks, large dump trucks, so that we can keep track of each one of those groups separately. Okay, and we can go over that more if you have questions about that. If I can get this to work correctly. There we go. This last page I'm going to let Pam talk to you about, and she can explain the link. It didn't come up. Whoops. Just a moment.
There we go.
There we go.
While I had you here today, I also wanted to talk briefly about our cooperation and partnership with the City of Lincoln. Many of you may recognize this as the street closure map. It became instrumental during this year's flooding. Typically, the street closure map only showed City of Lincoln areas. However, we have cooperated with the City of Lincoln in order to show the entire county. So what you're seeing on this map today are all roads that are currently closed for construction. And we believe that this map, in cooperation with the City of Lincoln, will provide the residents of Lincoln and Lancaster County with a lot better information so that they can route their travel on a daily basis. And at this time, I'd like to take any questions.
Can you talk about some of the reasons you needed a new radio system?
Ron, can I let you take that question?
Yes. About 3.5 years ago, there was a change with the FCC licensing. At that time, we were wideband, and we had to go to a narrowband system that was still analog because of the equipment we had. In the future, FCC is going to require commercial businesses of certain sizes to have what they call a very narrow band, or 6.25, which is a digital system. So we had to change the radio system anyway, and in doing that, we realized that we could get these radios that had the GPS built in with it, so we didn't have any additional cost for airtime for the GPS. Thanks.
Next question.
How does this make it more safer and more efficient for you guys, I guess?
Well, there's a couple things. A lot of people don't realize that our employees, a large number of them, are by themselves in the daytime. And you might have a gentleman in a motor grader grading a road by himself. And so there was an incident a couple years ago in one of our adjacent counties where a motor grader operator suffered a heart attack and he was, he couldn't quite define where he was at when he was having his medical emergency. So this will enable us to know where our employees are at. And if their equipment sits for 2 minutes time, then we get a message back at the shop so that we can check on somebody and see if maybe something has happened to them, which isn't, in the past you had to go look for somebody if they weren't responding to the radio. So we believe this will be a lot safer for our employees who are out on the county roads day after day. In addition to that, some people don't realize that in many instances of farm accidents, we become the first responders to the scene. So with an accident about 2 years ago on Yankee Hill Road at approximately West 88th Street, we were the first responders to a rollover with a tractor accident. And so this will enable us to assist the public. Obviously, someone can hit their button, and then we can go ahead and call 911 directly from our shop versus some of the other situations. So we're hoping that this will be better for the public as well as more safe for our employees.
When you look at maybe, like this road, when it snows and things like that, or when a storm comes and you have crews out, how do you see this helping you guys?
Well, we see it helping us. I just got a call yesterday from a resident, and God bless him. He said, I've never seen you maintain our road. I don't think you maintain our roads. And this does happen. Maybe someone's at work. Typically, when we come by, this will enable us to say, we did come out and maintain your road at 10 o'clock this morning, or we were out at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And it will enable us to just more efficiently plan the routes of our motor graders and of our snow plows and snow events. Any other questions?
Do a lot of other public works or roads, departments have this GPS tracking already, system incorporated, or what kind of model are you using?
So a lot of departments the last few years have incorporated these systems. And so they've become very popular because, again, we need to know where people are at for their safety and in order to protect our entity as well as the public. The big difference between a lot of systems, like the City of Lincoln system and our system, is that many of the systems use cell phone data packages in order to send the GPS signal. This system is different in that it uses the actual radio signal. Prior to the press conference, engineers love Google, so I just Googled to see if there were any recent press releases on GPS systems, and on July 31st, the city of Louisville put GPS into their fleet. Now, not a radio, but GPS. And so in their press release, they disclosed that they put GPS in more than 400 vehicles at a cost of $76,000 and $9,000 a month in data charges to keep track of their equipment. Obviously, we didn't put it in 400 vehicles, we put it in about 125. But that being said, we got a GPS system and a radio system for about $62,000. Not 76, and no monthly data charges. So that's the big difference with this system. It's new technology. We tested it. What's interesting is the system was guaranteed to cover 30 miles. And 2 weeks ago, I had some training in the city of Grand Island at the State Fair Park. And I actually took the county truck to the State Fair Park, and this system was able to track my truck in the parking lot of Fonner Park. So we're obviously very excited about the capabilities of this system and what it can do for us.
And you're covered in entire Lancaster County, even in hilly areas?
We are covered even in the hilly areas of Lancaster County. We have tested it, so.
And you can track you 24/7 now, wherever you're going?
Well, if I have the county truck, I mean, it's interesting. Even after the truck is turned off, the GPS unit will continue to send a signal, which is good. My handheld radio is on the table. I don't typically take a truck home. In the last 18 months, I believe during the flooding, I took one home once. so that I could get to the floods directly from my home location. So the truck isn't necessarily tracking me. However, the handheld radio will give out a signal on my location where I turn it on, when I turn it on. Other questions? All right, thank you for your time today.